Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Triumph Review. Probably gonna be the longest episode so far because I have a lot to say. I have finally completed every single Echoes Triumph, so today I'm gonna be giving you my Triumph review for Echoes as well as just my general review for this episode. I'm gonna break this down into 3 sections. So first I'm gonna talk about like the gameplay, then I'm gonna talk about the story, and then I'm going to talk about the triumphs, so I'll leave timestamps and chapters probably if you want to skip around, depending on what you're interested in. So yeah, first I'm going to talk about the gameplay, which is mostly going to be the activities and the weapons. And let's quickly talk about the weapons first. This was a very interesting season for weapons because they were either like absurdly good or just disappointingly mediocre. For example, Perfect Paradox has basically replaced Ragnhild as a kinetic 1-2 punch shotgun for me. Aberrant Action is one of the most dominant legendary weapons ever to be introduced into the game. This thing is insanely good. And Martyr's Retribution is also very good. I would probably use it more if Aberrant didn't do everything it did better. Other than that, the weapons were mostly pretty mid to bad. I think that the Echo's machine gun and the trace rifle are kind of neat. I think some people have been liking the hand cannon. I think the auto rifle isn't terrible. I crafted a shoot to loot roll on it, so that's pretty cool. Obviously Lost Signal and Time Worn Wayfarer are both standouts to me. But other than that, everything else was just kind of I don't care about the pulse rifle. The Reprise Scout isn't even that good. I don't care about Breach Light. Line in the Sand was just not good. Ill Omen and Faithkeeper I don't see any point in using, so yeah, kind of a mixed bag, but very much like two ends of the spectrum, so evening out to be kind of in the middle, I would say. So now let's talk about the activities and just what there is to do in Echoes. The first activity that we got was the Breach executable activity, and I actually really enjoyed this activity. Maybe that's a hot take, but I really like this one. I had to grind it a lot, which is something I will talk about in the Triumph section, but I never really got sick and tired of it. I don't know, I kind of enjoyed it. I think my one kind of gripe with it is that the Cabal encounter, like the section of it, can tend to be a lot more difficult than all of the other ones. Just kind of a weird big step up in difficulty, I would say. But I enjoyed the encounters. I think the boss fights were okay, and the loot was very rewarding. You could get a lot of loot for a little amount of time, so I thought that was very cool. Yeah, I would say this is probably my favorite activity of the season. Very good stuff. Moving on, we have Enigma Protocol. This one I'm a little bit mixed about. There's a Triumph associated with it that was kind of weird that I'll talk about in the Triumph section. But I've seen the Vex network before in Splicer, so this wasn't really anything special to me. I guess the Sparrow sections are kind of neat. I know some people were like farming this for loot. I like the timer mechanic going on there, but overall this was just kind of like, you know, it's something else that they added. It's kind of new content. I don't think I'd ever touch this after Act 1. But yeah, it's something, I guess. Moving on to Act 2, we had the Battlegrounds. These Battlegrounds, to me, were almost like a step down in difficulty. Maybe we've just power crept the game so much that the normal step up in difficulty just felt like less because we got so much more absurdly powerful with the final shape. They're okay. They're nice and short. I think the third one is my favorite. I like all the boss fights for them, actually. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, pretty decent Battlegrounds. I don't think they'll be turned into strikes or nightfalls or anything like that. But they're fun to have around. They're okay. And then the final activity we got was the exotic mission. This was probably my least favorite activity this season, to be honest. I know they put a lot of work into it, so it's kind of sad to say that like it kind of fell a little flat for me, but that is really just the truth of it. To kind of play devil's advocate, I really enjoyed the mechanics. It kind of reminded me of the Portal games where you have to like run back and forth and do this thing to go there and this thing to go there and then backtrack and bring something else. So I really like the mechanics. I would have liked to have seen more with that. And then I also liked how many secrets they put in there. They put a lot of secrets in that mission that you could unlock week over week, and then the whole like secret whisper time trial mission thing that they had. So those are all good. I like all that. I think the boss fight is alright as long as it doesn't glitch out on you, which of course was a problem for a bit. But overall, this was too long. I think that if you want to have a long exotic mission, it really has to be great. That's why I'm a huge fan of Dual Destiny, even though it's about the same length as this exotic mission, because Dual Destiny, I think, has a lot of great mechanics, a lot of great scenery and whatnot, and I love Dual Destiny. But unfortunately, I don't think that this exotic mission has the enjoyability to back up its length. So therefore, you know, I don't know. I got sick of running it. I got sick of how long it takes to run it. So those are mainly the things dragging it down. I have not really played around with the exotic auto rifle. It just kind of feels like one of those things where they made it busted on release. You know, we've seen the compilations of it doing a ton of damage. But of course they're going to nerf it eventually. So I don't know. I think after it gets nerfed, I don't think a lot of people will be using it. I know I probably won't be. There's not a lot of situations where I feel like it would be useful. So yeah, that's just me. It's going to be one of those like for fun exotics, I think. The last couple things I want to talk about are the specimen quests and the sample stuff. So, starting off with the specimen quests, I really enjoyed the specimen quests. I think that they got a little repetitive over time, but I like kind of seeing what unique thing I got to stick in the helm every week. They were generally pretty interesting things. Being able to pet Captain Jacobson is very funny to me, so I like that. Yeah, specimen quests were nice. They were a cool thing to do, I would say. And then also we had the sample stuffs with the pistons and the activities. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed about this. I think I'm actually going to talk about it more during the Triumph section because I have a few things to say when we get to that part. So I'm actually going to save it for then. Let's move over to the story stuff. And this is the majority of my disappointment with this season. I think that they had great ideas for a story here, and then the execution just was not it, in my opinion. And I think it comes down to 3 points. Number 1, I don't think the conductor was a good villain. Number 2, Saint's storyline, which I'll explain more later. And number 3 is obviously the ending. So, firstly, Maya Sundaresh as the conductor just really fell flat for me. I don't really care about her. It's an interesting situation because I feel like a lot of new players who don't know the lore are just going to look at her and go, oh, that's that one racist lady from a few seasons ago. But it's really not, you know, I'm not like a lore super junkie or anything, but I have kind of brushed up on my Maya Sundaresh lore. You know, I listened to some of the Bife videos and whatnot, and there's definitely something there. You know, I enjoyed the parts of the exotic mission story where you hear about her like basically searching for her wife, but it's never really quite perfect, and I think there's a lot of potential there. But overall, her main motivation for the Vex and whatever just really did not work for me. And again, like I said, it's kind of a bad situation where only people who have extensive lore knowledge are really gonna completely understand this villain, and so you have a hard time with new players trying to introduce this person and then explain who they are. But then if you're like an experienced person, the twist is totally ruined for you because you knew it from like week 1, basically. You knew it from the fucking trailer. So I don't know, that was just really disappointing. And then the reveal obviously just came way too late. I think she gets revealed at the end of Act 2. That should have been at the end of Act 1, as everyone and their mother has pointed out at this point. So that's number 1. Maya Sundaresh just didn't work as a villain. The conductor didn't work as a villain for me. Number 2 is Saint's storyline. I think this had a ton of potential. Saint's identity crisis at the hands of the conductor was something that I found really interesting. There's a lot of character depth you can explore there. But then I think it just kind of gets resolved in like a couple conversations. Like, that's it, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this storyline went by way too fast, and we didn't really get involved in it. It was just kind of like an afterthought. Obviously, Bungie can write really good character stories. We've seen that with Zavala in the final shape. That just comes to mind especially. So I don't know. It felt rushed to me, and I feel like they didn't flesh it out enough, even though there was a lot of potential there. And then finally, let's talk about the ending. Oh my god, bro, how do you fumble this badly? I mean, you know, you finish the final run of the exotic mission, and then you're just in a cutscene. Yeah. And then Maya Sundaresh, the conductor, escapes. And that's it. Saint acts like a dumbass by not going in guns blazing, and then won't listen to Ikora about doing that, and obviously he gets put under her mind control, but then somehow he's just, like, able to not be under mind. Oh, I just got weaseled. That's weird. Anyways, but then he's just, like, able to not be under mind control because reasons, I guess? I don't know. It was so goofy to me. And we don't even get to fight Maya Sundaresh. We don't get to fight the conductor. The main villain of this storyline. We don't even get to fight her. She gets fought for us by Saint and Ikora, and then she just fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi's her way out of there. Great. Okay, what a satisfying resolution to the story. Really loved that. Thanks, Bungie. I just really don't understand how Bungie can fumble this hard. We know they have great writers. We just got an excellent story in the final shape, the best they've ever written. And then this was just one of the worst endings in Destiny seasonal history. So I really just don't understand it. Okay, now that I've gotten my error codes under control, let's talk about the actual triumphs for the season. Starting off with quests, I mean, this is all pretty straightforward. It's just completing all the acts and listening to all the radio broadcasts. I will say it was a little bit weird to wait until the next act started to be able to get the Act 1 and Act 2 triumphs. That was just kind of strange to me, but it's not a big deal, you know, I got them eventually. And then Act 3 you get just upon completing the storyline. So a little strange there, but it's not like a complaint or anything, just something I noticed. Failsafe research. Okay, I have a lot to say about this, so let's just start going through them. Enough reputation with failsafe to reset your vendor rank. If you're triumph chasing for this season, you will get this. I think I have 9 failsafe rank resets at this point. So yeah, you're gonna get this. It's not hard. Like I talked about in the gameplay section, I enjoyed the research project quests. I think that those were pretty fun. I liked filling up the little, like, aquariums, or not aquariums because it's not water. Terrariums, I think is the right word for that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Depositing radiolite samples, I mean, you're gonna get this pretty easy. Yeah, and then collecting just 1,000 grams of each of the radiolite samples. I have beef with this because it's not in the Imperial system, aka the better system. Fuck the metric system. USA forever. Okay, this is where I have stuff to say. The 400 gram samples. So, when Act 1 came out, I grinded the shit out of the activity that dropped these. Breach executable. I grinded so much breach executable just looking for these rare samples. I reset my failsafe rank 3 times during Act 1 because my thinking was just like, okay, when next act comes around, I'm gonna have to collect the next rare ones, and that's gonna take a lot of the grind. So I might as well just get these out of the way and save myself a lot of time the next act. And then of course, in the next act, they made them incredibly easy to get. And I just, that was a little annoying to me, to be quite honest. I mean, I enjoyed grinding breach executable to a point, but there is a certain point where if you do the same activity too many times, it feels kind of repetitive and dull, especially when you are like trying to get an RNG thing and it just isn't dropping a lot. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, they introduced this thing in Act 2 with the Battlegrounds, where if you complete like certain quests, these like special enemies called assimilated demolishers pop up in Battlegrounds. You kill them, and then you have a chance to get this assimilated beacon from the final chest, which you can go follow to Nessus and kill some bosses, and it'll drop you, I think it's guaranteed to give you some of these 400-gram samples if you don't have them already. So it's basically bad luck protection. I just wish that this was implemented sooner, or that we knew about it before I grinded these out. Those are my thoughts on those. I really would have preferred maybe a cap on the bad luck protection, because as far as I know, it's like unlimited, you know? You can get all of these just by doing that. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I wish that the drop rates would have been maybe a little higher for these, because I grinded the shit out of Breach Executable to get these, and then they just made it free. So that something about that just doesn't sit right with me. And then this is what I was talking about: defeat the assimilated demolishers. This was, you know, a fun little secret. For all the things I'll say about the 400-gram samples, I think that doing this in itself, regardless of the loot that it drops, was actually quite fun. These are a couple of cute triumphs: Captain Jacobson and the two little bat things. I like this. I like when Bungie is able to have a little bit of fun and put in just a couple of cute things, you know. Petting Captain Jacobson, that's very cool. And yeah, I like these. And then finally, collecting all the specimens. I mean, as someone who likes to collect things, you know, this is right up my alley, so I enjoyed doing this. Yeah. Moving over to gear, this is a lot of really standard stuff. It's basically just get all the gear, get all of the weapon patterns. You know, if you play enough, you'll get all this. And that's basically it, you know. Free triumph points, very nice. So, I don't know, not much to say. Only 3 triumphs for Breach Executable, just defeating the bosses, getting a platinum score after completing both encounters, and a flawless. Not even asking you to do the legend for this, so really easy stuff. I actually did my first flawless on like one of my first legend runs, which is kind of funny. Just to, you know, flex that a little bit. I think platinum score, if I remember correctly, is just like getting both of the pistons going or whatever, just collecting all the samples, or maybe it's like a time thing. I don't know. It's easy to get platinum is my point. So all of these are basically free. Okay, Battlegrounds. So we have completing all the Battlegrounds, the assimilated demolishers, and then each of the expert Battlegrounds. None of the expert Battlegrounds were really too difficult. I'd say out of the 3 of them, maybe the first one is the hardest, just because the wyverns in the boss fight are a pain in the ass. Oh my god, that sucks. But yeah, overall pretty easy. This one, this requires you to run Battlegrounds 15 times after unlocking the assimilated demolishers. I did not really enjoy grinding this one out. Yeah, I don't know. That's maybe 10 would have been fine. I don't know about 15. Okay, I talked a lot about the exotic mission during the gameplay review section, so I'm going to try to make this go kind of quickly. I enjoyed all of the little secret triumphs, or little secret chests that they put in there. I'd say the standout was the one where you have the red buff that you have to run around and put in different places, and then the one where you get the 2 bats. Those were definitely the standouts for me. I actually solo flawless this mission, so completing it without dying is not that hard. I did it on Prismatic Warlock, and it was really just no problem for me. That's about it, I think. I mean, we have collecting the catalysts, getting all the little Vex things. You know, it's nice to have a collectible in there, I guess. And then I believe this was the special Whisper run that they put in there. This was a cool little secret. I liked seeing people find this, and then you get the emblem for it. So yeah, the emblem looks sick, and I think it's really cool. I'm very curious to see how this kind of ties into the lore, because Whisper has kind of big implications sometimes. Or this just could be like a little Easter egg. It's very unclear right now. I'd love to see them do something with it, but I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Okay, Enigma Protocol. There's really only one kind of triumph that's important here that I want to talk about. We have, of course, completing both variants, destroying all the network nodes. You know, these are both very easy. Completing it in under 18 minutes, and then soloing it. Some people may have a little bit of trouble with the solo, especially if they don't know where all the nodes are, but they're really not that hard to find. Soloing it is Not too difficult, I would say. Just go fast and good luck. Okay, this one is very strange to me. So basically in like the middle section of the mission, that kind of like middle pause where you can choose to restart, and then at the end there are these 3 confluxes. So you have to interact with each of the confluxes on each mode. So 3 in each area, that makes 6 per version, and then 2 versions, that makes 12 total. These are just so weird to me, because I'm pretty sure if someone in your instance like interacts with one of them, nobody else can, so then it doesn't count for the triumph. I'm pretty sure. So this can be kind of annoying to deal with in just random groups, and then also if you interact with one of them, it takes a while before you're able to interact with another one. This was just odd to me. Like, I feel like it would have been much better if you could just let everyone interact with them, right? So instead of relying on either people like not scanning them or you scanning them first, or getting people together, you know, who's gonna ask a couple of people to join them for fucking Enigma protocol to go get a triumph? I did, I know that, but you know, generally most people aren't gonna do that. So I don't know. It was just super weird to me. They took a path for it that just seemed very strange and non-obvious to me. Okay, our final section here is going to be general. Earning perfect pitch, pretty easy. One of the ritual ornaments, you know, all of this really is standard stuff. Gaining all the bonus power is really easy because, you know, this is longer than a season. Artifact mods and season pass, you know, you only need 100 ranks in the season pass. Season pass is 200 ranks total, so it's easy grind. And then we have the ornaments. This was the last triumph that I needed for Echoes before I talked about it, and I hated it. I hated grinding for this. I ended up doing it in Iron Banner this past week while we had the increased Valor reputation, because I also needed to get my 2 Iron Banner rank resets to finally get Iron Lord and that triumph. Ooh, PvP is not in a good state right now. I feel for all the PvP players. I mean, just the amount of ability spam is... Oh my god, dude, I wanted to taser my nutsack. I think that would have been more enjoyable than grinding out Crucible for this shit. So, can't wait to do it next season. And then on the total opposite end, the Vanguard one was literally free. I just did a couple GMs during the increased Nightfall reputation week. It's just odd to me that, like, there's such a disparity between these two in terms of ease to get. So I don't know, and Crucible's just in a shit state right now. It's not enjoyable. And then also I got the Gambit one. The Gambit one was like okay to get. It's a bit of a grind, but I did it during an increased Infamy rank. I got a couple friends with me and we ended up just stomping on people in Gambit, so that was actually pretty enjoyable. But I don't think a solo player would have fun doing this unless they love doing Gambit. So overall, this was awful. This was the worst triumph of this entire season to get. Hands down. Easily. Okay, the last thing to talk about is the Intrepid title. I mean, this is pretty much just all the stuff you would expect to see here. Just doing all the story, depositing radio light, getting the armor, doing all the stuff in Breach and Battlegrounds, and all the stuff in the exotic mission. I'm a little surprised by how much from the exotic mission they put in here. You know, you have to collect all the secret chests and get all the stuff for the exotic auto rifle. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Really, the only note I have to make is I would probably add maybe the solo Enigma protocol or the flawless exotic mission. I think either of those would add a little bit more difficulty to this and just kind of make it a little bit more of a flex. But Intrepid just isn't that cool of a title to me. Like, it just, I don't know, the name is kind of whatever. So I think that's it. I don't think I have any more things to say. I know I've been rambling on for quite some time now. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening to my opinions, and I'll see you later.